All right, so you already adjusted it? Or
Nope.
you're going to adjust? You have to adjust it real time.
Live adjustment.
Oh, I guess because it's just a POTS adjustment, it kind of computes in real time?
Correct. Yeah, there's some delay, but
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Clear.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
It's all the way up to 17. Yeah, so that right bank is a problem.
Actually, you know what? Can you hear the idle?
Yeah,
It's
totally
suddenly-
smoothed out.
It totally got smoother.
Yeah, it was
just
good.
now.
And now it's
100% got
yep.
smoother.
Wow, and it's still only at 16. That's cool. So is it like a really fine adjustment, or is it really coarse?
Yeah, I'm making like quarter turn.
Quarter turn, let it sit for a second.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you mean it's not a cam? It's not a big cam in this thing. Oh, okay.
Well, and usually the turbo motors don't have
Yeah, they're not.
giant cams because then you get, on a normally aspirated motor, the overlap is okay, but on a boosted motor, the overlap just leaks boost.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
To a degree.
Horses for courses.
I can't believe how smooth that idle suddenly got. That is
Yeah.
really impressive.
That was really cool.
Trust your mechanic, Glenn.
Wow, that is really neat.
Because before it was jumping around between like 16 and 18, and now it's kind of staying pretty
go back
steady.
the other way because I put quite a bit in. Oh,
Whoa.
you hear that?
Yeah, and it got worse. Yeah. As soon as it went up, it
Oh,
got.
is that you? Did you adjust it?
Yeah, I wanted to back it off and make sure
Yeah.
we weren't wandering too far away from.
Is it maxed out?
No, but like I say, I think the throttles all want to be balanced out, but it's a lot closer. It's a lot closer.
It came right back to where the other one is. Wow.
Good.
It's like dead on.
I also noticed when you're doing that, I can hear it snort out the intake here.
Oh, really?
When you're doing that aggressive brat.
Well, I'm not trying to.
Oh, wow, I can hear it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to.
yeah.
Yeah, I could hear it up here in the intake. That's crazy. That's interesting that after a couple braps, it kind of came back to a better idle.
Yeah, so you might have a little extra fuel and stuff going through there.
That's amazing. It's amazing that it went from 20 to a 14 something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. And
It's a lot more stable.
Yeah, the idle is really nice now.
it sounds like a different engine.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it sounds like, yeah.
You got rid of the cam.
You can almost hear them harmonizing the two pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Interesting. Okay, wow, that's.
You hear that baritone note when they like hit the same harmony, the same frequency. There comes a point where you can enrich in it so much that basically fuel tuning, like for idle stability, is kind of a game of statistics, right? So to a certain degree, the more fuel you give it, the more likely it is to burn all of the fuel that it needs to burn.
Yeah.
So if you're lean, it's got not enough fuel
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get a full. But if you've got the right amount, then you've got a perfectly stoichiometric,
Right, yeah.
But if you have extra,
Yeah, a little bit of fuel doesn't go unspent.
right. So the guys that learned how to do this old school without tools, when you say, oh, it ran really smooth, well, you can, like that car, we could set that thing to idle at a 12.5 AFR, and it will make up for, all kinds of deficiencies because there's an excess amount of fuel. So you're guaranteed basically that there's more than enough fuel to get
Right.
complete combustion. So you're probably going to get complete combustion all the time, but then you get that raw fuel stench rolling
Right.
out the tailpipes. So the advantage of using a tool like this is to only put enough fuel to make it happy. So like that car, I've got idling at a 13.0 plus or minus, right?
Right.
Because we don't want excess fuel, right? We only want just the right amount of fuel,
Yeah,
and you
just a
can't
tiny
really
bit of excess.
guess accurately what the correct amount of
Well,
fuel is.
I'm also thinking about anyone who's tuning by ear would never have been able to tune this by ear because there's just a few, it cleaned up, but it still was way off.
Totally, yeah. We were
Like
still
when it went from 16 to 15 and a half,
yeah.
the idle smoothed out, but it still was off by a pretty good amount.
Exactly. Being 6'3", these cars aren't really super comfortable for me, no matter what's happening. So it's all relative.
It's unfortunate that AC isn't working.
At least we waited until it was 100 degrees outside.
Yeah.
This is always my favorite Italian car trick. The longer you run it, the more fuel you get.
That's so weird.
I feel like that was a better response than it was before. It felt like every time you'd wrap it, you'd get a little.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is, also just that it's, warm and stuff too, but clearly getting that mixture right seems to be.
Satisfactory, at least.
Yeah, at the very least. I can't believe how far off it was. It actually is already, it's driving a little bit better right now. A little bit, like on that little
Yep.
tip-in park throttle.
Yep.
I mean, the throttle pedal's still sticky, but,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So when you're doing this steady state right here,
Right.
when it's all balanced, you want this to be butter smooth.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a, right. I'm actually getting a little bit more of that. Little.
Yeah. Well, and I think if the airflow through the throttle plates is a little bit imbalanced, and now we just band-aided it with a little bit more fuel demand, basically, then that wouldn't surprise me. Oh yeah, that's nice and even. That's a lot better.
Is it?
Yeah, I was much more balanced even then.
And throttle's still sticky if I push in the clutch. Maybe it's hard to say if it's a little bit better or not, but it's, the
It's
throttle
still there.
is still sticky, yeah.
Okay. And right there is off a little bit. The right side's a bit leaner right there.
This side?
Yeah. About a half point. On power it's nice, it's that part throttle.
A lot of traffic.
Nice.
thing sounds cool.
It really does. This and my mentor built a VT Diablo. He did 6-into-1 long tube race headers on it, X-pipe exhaust. You know, car was bananas. Between those two cars, I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Like what else?
Did that Lamborghini, did it happen to be an orange Diablo GT by chance?
This one is actually a green, like chameleon with cream interior. It was originally owned by Donald J. Trump.
That's funny.
Back in San Diego.
Yeah, this car is so neat. You know, like a lot of, you know, modern supercars. You know, that whole thing, like it's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow.
Yeah.
This is great because it does both things really. It does speed so easily.
Yeah.
But you do feel everything. Like,
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Like when you're going 25 through a residential area, you don't feel like you're going too slow. Like there's still like.
Yes. Yeah, you
know,
got all the visceral.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, like in the 458, if you're not doing 140, it's boring.
Right. It's funny, this car makes the, you know, mild turbo tuner sounds too, you know, the blow-offs and the hisses and the whistles.
Oh yeah. I mean, this really is like when we're little kids getting excited about machines, like this car really does like capture all the little kid. They say it's a little bit uncomfortable and looks ridiculous. Yeah, it makes all the noises and feels all zippy like the go-karts we grew up driving, like. And then yeah, it's grown up fast. So like, yeah, when you're getting it, you're like, oh, like I'm going.
Yeah, I remember Jeff was pulling into the garage one time in this, and we saw him pull in off the street, coming down the driveway into the building. And I remember who was with us, but someone described this car so well, and they were like, it looks like an invasive species coming down the road. Like it doesn't look like it belongs, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you definitely should be allowed to drive this on the street the way it looks.
Right.
The F40 is the only car I've ever been in where we pulled up to a street light and a guy climbed out of his car and like threw his hands in the air and was like, oh my god, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. We're like, okay, thanks. Get the back in your car, bro. But like, that's how wild this car is.
Oh, yeah.
It evokes a very strong emotional response. Even the guys that own them, like Jeff, you know, like none of those guys are callous about owning one of these cars.
It's almost like it cleared up. The hunting around seems to kind of gone away. I mean, you can still hear the popping back there a little bit when you're coasting, but.
Yeah, and you always will, just like we talked about, you know, this isn't the most brilliant engine management system, and, you know, it's a race car system more than a street car emissions compliance system, so. And with no muffler, you've got that open pipe for it to just rumble down. I'd say it's probably 90% right now. I think there's another 10%, but, you know, that would take a full day worth of work mucking with, you know, balancing the throttles to get that last 10%. So, you know, it's up to you guys and how particular you want to be about it, you know?
Well, I mean, honestly, the biggest thing we need to do next is the it's just so that the sticky throttle is really
pretty disconcerting.
I mean, it just makes it really difficult to drive, you know.
On a car with no traction control, no ABS, and a very high replacement cost.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the key to going fast around a corner is being able to be smooth.
Yeah, definitely we should replace that throttle cable and stuff and get rid of your sticky throttle, because that's a safety risk. It's not worrisome. Before it was worrisome.
Can't believe it was running that. I still think it's funny that we were expecting it to be like super rich. And then we're looking at it and we're like, that is awfully lean.
To me, it's like one of those things when someone calls and says, so what do you think this could be? I think I don't know one thing about anything, and neither do you. So until you put the, you know, it's that over the phone diagnostic. I don't know what's wrong with your shit.
Well, I've gotten a light.
Yeah?
Yeah, something. I thought I had something lit up. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. All my fluids are checking out. but-
Maybe your brake fluid. Maybe there's enough acceleration to slosh the brake fluid back. And
Maybe.
I mean, I gotta admit, for Pirellis, these tires they got good grip.
Yeah. I didn't see anything there.
Oh, these cars are so glorious. This is one of the few cars when people say if you could only ever own one car, what would it be? This is pretty close to the top of the list.
Well, drivability is,
Better.
aside from the sticky throttle, which we haven't addressed at all today, that it is significantly better to drive.
Right on. It sounds a lot happier right now. When we got back after, like, it sounded better in the warehouse, and then after getting it hot and then pulling in, when we pulled up here, it was hunting and burbling, and
Yeah.
like it sounded all nasty, and now it's just
I wonder if that might have been the brake light that I saw. Come
That's
on.
what I'm thinking of, the fluid sloshed under acceleration.
Happier?
Happier.
Yay!
Yeah, drivability is a little bit better too, actually. So yeah, I mean it's warm in there, but yeah. So like we first pulled out, we were going down the road, and it was doing that hunting thing he was talking about.
Yep.
And it did it literally for 30 seconds, and then that kind of cleared up. And just general part throttle drivability it's a little bit better. You know, getting into it. It, you know, builds boost a little bit better, and just the drivability in general is a little bit better, you know. But the big thing is like the idle's way better. I mean, listen to it.
Yeah, it's smooth.
Oh, yeah.
Smooth.
Sounds really, really
What's the numbers?
We've been
Oh.
running my little gizmo for so long.
Oh, the battery's getting low.
Well, it got warm and it would skits out, it would drop it and wake back up.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if it'd wake up one more time. But like I said to Glenn, you know, when we first were looking at it in here, you know, it sounded a little ugly, but after we went and whipped it around and got it nice and hot and pulled up to the gate, you could hear the idle speed hunting, you could hear the burbly, like, you know, it was trying to figure itself out. It sounded scattered, you know, whereas right now you can just hear
It's smooth.
it's nice and smooth.
Yep.
But yeah, the AFRs were doing a lot better. They were tracking much more linear, still at like 20-30% throttle, you know, 3,000 RPM, like if you're doing like a fourth gear, third gear kind of cruise on the highway, you know, because you're getting ready to light it up, but
Yeah.
you're just kind of driving. The AFRs are still a bit off from side to side, so there's still some mechanical balancing that could take place. Started at 75-80%, and I think we're at a good 90% right now.
Nice.
But yeah, this guy doesn't want to wake back up.
No. This is tricky stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, nice and safe.
Keep on pulling.
No F40 paint was harmed in the filming of this video.
It doesn't look like it. Looks like it
So
all
far,
went
so
pretty well.
good.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yep. No Ferrari paint harmed. Our worries are mostly over now.
Yep.
Very first time we pulled out, when we were on 183.
You went 55, right? 55.
Yes, that's how fast we went. Was 50. No, the speed limit there is like 65 or 70, whatever that was. I think that's about what we got up to.
Plus or minus 60
And
miles an
after
hour.
a solid 5 seconds of full throttle acceleration, we hit it solid 65 for sure.
And that was, yeah, no way. I think it was like 40 miles an hour.
This is why I'm glad I can't afford cars like this, because I'd be dead and or in jail.
Yeah.
It's just too much fun.
It is. I'll tell you the worst car that I've been in lately for that is the GT2.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
rated at
beast,
like
huh?
700 horsepower or something. There's no way that's all it has, because it
Yeah.
feels like it's got a lot more than 700. It really goes, and it's relentless. Like, you know, first gear goes pretty good, you know, and in second gear you're like, oh man, this thing is really strong, and in third gear you're just like 80 more horsepower appeared from somewhere. It's just got so much power, and it just keeps pulling and pulling and pulling. And I mean, that's like think that's as fast as I've gone, right? Third gear.
Glenn had some concerns, right? We talked earlier about what the air-fuel ratios were and fire concerns and all of that, right? So we did a quick evaluation and found that because the car has a 2B muffler delete on it, right? And so there's discussion that when you do that modification, the cars can run over rich and there can be other issues, et cetera, et cetera. And the reality is the engine management system in the F40 is fairly complex, and there's a lot of adjustments to be done on them to keep them balanced and running really well. So that, there's a lot of things to consider there. So we came in with the Lambda tool, just like we used on the Lusso last week, to check AFRs and see where they were. The assumption was that they might be a little on the rich side. It turned out that they're on the lean side, and not only that, but the right-hand side of the motor was actually very lean, enough to actually be really concerning and cause an imbalance between the two banks, which affects drivability and smoothness of acceleration. And took it down the road and did some pulls, acceleration, steady state, things like that. Verified that the imbalance is pretty consistent under all conditions. So it came back while it was still nice and hot, because once it got nice and hot, like after driving hot, not just idling for 20 minutes hot, it actually leaned itself out even more. So we had a rough idle, an erratic idle speed. It sounded kind of gnarly. So we played with the infamous CO pot switches on the ECU for the right-hand bank and just kind of quit, started twisting the knob until we got the AFRs, the balance between the two banks. So there's still maybe a hair on the leaner side of the adjustment range, but not in any way that's dangerous. And the fact of the matter is this car is not racing. It's not, it's not under high duress very often. It spends most of its time cruising around. So the leaner idle, will be a little bit easier on the spark plugs in the motor and all that kind of stuff. So once we got it all adjusted, went and did another road pull to kind of see how it does and verify that under acceleration and all of that, the mixtures stayed even where we wanted them. Because originally, the troublesome bank would actually over-enrich a little bit under a hard acceleration pull. Why it wants to go from over-lean to over-rich kind of gives you an idea of how sensitive the engine management is to the myriad of adjustments that exist and how everything interacts with each other. And so the thing to think about is overreaction, basically, right? Yeah. So if something is too lean, it's going to try and compensate, and that can create an overreaction, and then you end up with an over-enrichment. And so it's constantly going to be chasing itself back and forth, trying to find that happy spot. So that's why tuning and balancing on any of these things is important, is to keep it in that ideal window. So we did the idle balance, got it super money, went and drove the car, and still at about 20-30% throttle, cruising along. There's still some imbalance there, so I know the linkages could benefit from a mechanical balance, which is a pretty lengthy procedure on the F40, and I don't think they're super worried about that right now. They just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to hurt the engine or catch the car on fire. Yeah. So aside from that, otherwise we got a nice steady smooth idle now. We got good acceleration. Glenn says the car feels smoother and more responsive when he wants to roll in on the throttle and get it into boost and get it to accelerate. And then we also were able to clear up that over-enrichment after a full acceleration pull. So in general, the whole tuning of the motor is quite a bit more balanced and happy. So that's all Glenn asked for today. So that's what we accomplished.
Good job, Josh.
Good job, Dan.
Thanks. I stood around.
You did a great job.
I know. Thanks.
You're the best stander arounder.
Well, again, if you need Josh's services, Exotic Power and Performance, go check out exotic-power.com. You can hit him up and he can get you set up. Obviously doing work on some pretty incredible cars. Clearly knows his shit. Also, if you want to support the channel, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And better yet, go visit normalguyssupercar.com. There you can buy parts and services for exotic cars and use the code NGS10. It takes off 10%. Almost everything I sell. Thank you so much again for watching this, and we will hopefully be working on some more cool cars very, very soon. So you're gonna want to stay tuned. It's gonna be sweet.